everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing with some copyright-free images and I printed them out on Computer Grafix clear film for inkjet printers, and I'm going to play around with these and add them to a journal page. So I just thought I would experiment a little bit. I haven't worked with this Computer Grafix film before. It has a smooth side and a rough side, so you print on the rough side. I mean, it's like you can barely tell the difference when you feel it, but there is a slight difference. So you print on the rougher side, and then I wanted to see if I could color the leaves with some alcohol ink. So that's what I'm getting ready to do here, and I just wanted to show you the film, and it printed really well. I didn't have any trouble with it running through the printer or with how dark the image came out. It was really nice. So I am turning it over and I'm going to apply the alcohol ink to the smooth side, or the side that I did not print on, because I was afraid that the printer ink would probably smear under the alcohol ink. So I'm going to color it on the back side. So I'm just taking 3 different colors of Ranger alcohol ink, and I don't have any of the felt pads. I only have the foam pads, which I know are supposed to be for the oxide inks and the distress inks, but that's what I have, so that's what I'm using. So I've got a red, a yellow, and a green in the alcohol ink, and I'm just applying strips of color to that pad, just kind of pushing the tip of the bottle down into the foam and squeezing some out. I have no idea at this point how this is going to work, if it's going to work, what it'll look like, but you know, me, I'm always flying by the seat of my pants, so I figured I'd just give it a whirl and see what happened. So I have the ink on the applicator, and then I'm just going to take the Ranger alcohol blending solution and just going in a stripe across those 3. And the blending solution, if you haven't used it, helps the ink to move, and it also lightens it. Now the colors are going to go on this film light because it's transparent. So if you're used to seeing the ink go onto like Yupo paper, that is more an opaque substrate, it looks a little bit different. So it wasn't exactly the way I was hoping it would turn out. So then I just took the dauber and I'm just pouncing the color, and then I took some green and I pounced some green on, and then it was separating. So then I added some more red to and some more of the blending solution, and then it just kind of separated all over the place. So I just kept at it until I had a decent amount of color at least on there. I didn't really get to see the 3 colors, which is what I was hoping to do, but I just couldn't make it do what I thought I wanted it to do. But this is fine. It's still very pretty, and I just showed you how it looked against a piece of printed like scrapbook paper. So now I have the Gibson Girl that was printed on the graphics film, and just a page from an old book. It has some music on it, and so I thought I had the right side. So I'm putting some matte medium on her, and then I'm going to flip her over, put some matte medium on the book page as well. And in hindsight, I realized that the motion of the brush, or the friction of the brush against the inked side of the printout, is going to cause more problems than had I done it the opposite way. But as soon as I put my brush on it, it's like, oh look, there's red and blue in my black ink. So, you know, if you're using an inkjet printer, even when you print it in black, you're still going to get some of the other colors. of ink. So there they are, and they just kind of smeared, and I lost the black and ended up with blue and red. But at least it didn't smear the image. The image is still clear, it just is colored now. So, cut my losses. Excuse me. Cut my losses and just decided to go with it. So I dried it off really good with my heat tool and kept my tool quite a ways above the graphics film because I wasn't sure if it would melt or warp or whatever, but she turned out just fine. She lays flat, so I decided that I would still be able to use her. So there you can see the leaves and the Gibson Girl, and then I just cut around the leaves. I didn't fussy cut them, I just left a little margin around them. And then I have an extra, like a scrap piece of that graphics film that was at the bottom underneath the girl, and I stamped an image on there. I guess I cut my footage out accidentally, but I stamped an image on there, and I will use that later. So then I'm just using my altered book, and I'm going to put some matte medium down and just start covering those 2 pages with some old papers that I chose. This one is from the New York Public Library, the digital collection. They're all copyright-free images. You can download them in various sizes and print them out and use them. So it's a great resource for old documents and old photographs. So I'm just going to speed this up and get all of these papers down and get these 2 pages covered. So I always use my matte medium on my page, on the back of the paper that's going down on the page, and then also on the front of the paper. And if you do that, you will get way less wrinkles and bubbles when you're applying the matte medium. Your paper will lay much flatter, and you also have a protective layer then on top of that paper, so that if you add something on top of it later, paint or ink or something like that, you have a better chance of getting it up if you don't like it. So I'm just gonna fly through this part and just glue all these papers down and just cover up the text and the colored captions and what have you that are on those pages of that altered book. And there I'm putting down one of those graphics film leaves, and then the Gibson Girl. And I really love the way you can see the music paper through her face and her hair and everything. And while I would have preferred her to remain black, it really doesn't bother me that much that she's blue and red. It's just a journal, so there's another one of the leaves that I put the alcohol ink on. That is a dictionary page that I ran through my printer and just used it as the paper to print that image. I think that image came from the Graphics Fairy, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess I have a little bit of a steampunk feel to this page. At least that's what I ended up kind of feeling, although the leaves don't really lend themselves to that very much. But the color of the leaves ended up coordinating pretty well with my red lady, so that's all good. And then I took some of the scraps from the music paper that I tore off from around the lady and put those over on the left-hand side just to kind of coordinate those two pages a little bit more. And now I am using archival ink in sepia, and I'm just going to go over all of the papers and bring the colors together a little bit more. Some of them are toned and aged, and some of them are lighter, and I just wanted them all to have kind of the same tone. I'm going right over those leaves, but not going over the Gibson Girl or the light bulb, the Edison bulb. Going around those and trying to keep the inside part of those images lighter than the rest of the pages, just so they'll stand out. I also have a little piece of cheesecloth there on the left-hand side. Now I have some Bow Bunny. They are steampunk stamps, so I thought I would go ahead and add those gears. They're 3 separate stamps, 3 different sizes, so I'm just using the archival ink in jet black. And I'm going to stamp those here and there, and then there's a little heart that I use at the end here, but I'm just going to speed through. It's just stamping. And for this particular page, I didn't care if I didn't get perfect images every time. I think the broken images kind of lend themselves to this page with all the different papers. Those did not come out well at all because of the bend of the page and the way my ink block or my stamping block hit the gutter of the book. So I just took them off and re-inked those. And then there's the heart, little wings on the heart. And that's enough of that. So then I decided I would take some burnt sienna, fluid acrylic, and some clear gesso, mix it together, and I'm going over both of the pages, the whole thing, except for the inside part of that light bulb. But I went right over the lady's face, and then I will later wipe that back a little bit. But I think that just really helped to bring everything together really well. Then I have some high flow acrylic in this fine liner bottle, just in carbon black, I believe, and I'm just going to do some scribble writing across the pages. And then while it's still wet, I took a deli sheet and kind of blotted over top of it to kind of smear it and make it look as though it was older, worn, or maybe the ink smeared. And then I grabbed my brown Stabilo pencil, and I'm just going to go around those 2 focal points and smear that out just to give a little bit of a shadow and help bring those focal points forward a little bit more. And you can see I did wipe the paint off of the Gibson Girl's face, so she's not orange anymore. And then I have a black Stabilo, and I'm going to go around the outside of the pages with the black Stabilo and activate that with some water. It just adds a little grunge, and going around the outside of both pages, I think helps it visually feel more like it's just one page as opposed to 2 pages of a book. So I do that a lot. And then for the final touch, I took some distress paint in tea dye and a rake brush. I watered the paint way down and just splattered it across the pages just to get some spatters in different sizes, concentrating kind of on those leaves and in the darker areas. And that's basically it. It was fun to do. It came together really quickly. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it out to your friends or to your Facebook groups. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did that. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.